Hello, and thank you all for joining us today. Excited to hear that we have an eager group here. My name is Daniel Stockmall, and I'm a fellow at the U.S. Department of Energy's State and Community Energy Programs Office. And for today's training, we're pleased to have our colleagues from Lawrence Berkeley National Lab with us to provide a tutorial on the eProject Express tool. I'll just make a few quick points before we get going with Dana and Liz here. Today's training is going to be a hands-on session on how to navigate and use the eProject Express platform. We're really pleased to be able to offer this opportunity to do a deep dive on the platform in a small group setting, and we hope that you all find it useful. The training is being sponsored by DOE's ESPC Campaign, which partners with state and local governments and industry stakeholders to share tools, resources, and best practices to advance the use of performance contracting and to achieve guaranteed energy savings. And so I'll note that we will be recording today's training to serve as a resource for ESPC campaign partners that were unable to make today's session. And so with that being said, we do want this to be an interactive session for everybody in attendance today. So please feel free to stay on camera, introduce yourselves in the chat, and we'll try to answer your questions as we go throughout the training. We do plan to pause a couple times throughout the platform demo to take in your questions, but feel empowered to use the raise hand feature to grab our attention along the way. And towards the end of today's session, we will do a short poll to get your feedback on content, and we'd greatly appreciate your responses to that. And finally, I just want to note that the focus of this presentation today will be on the eProject Express tool. But if you have any questions about the ESPC campaign or ESPC more broadly, please feel free to drop comment in the chat for us or shoot us an email at espccampaign@hq.doe.gov. And so with that, I'm happy to pass things over to Dana and Dale to introduce our team and to kick off the training today. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Daniel. Let me see if I can advance the slide here. Okay, so today we've got Daniel Stockmall, who you just heard from the Department of Energy. We're going to hear from Dale Hawes, who is an energy savings performance contracting consultant. I'm Dana Robson. I'm with Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, and I'm joined by my colleague Elizabeth Stewart, also from LBNL. This demonstration session is designed for ESPC campaign partners. We're going to show you how to register for an eProject Express account and provide a tour of the platform's main features. As a reminder, ePX and eProject Builder are the same database. ePX is just the streamlined way for you to enter information into that broader database. EPB is a much more robust system that has a lot of additional fields, and ePX was specifically designed for state and local users to be able to streamline their data entry. Okay, so the first thing we're going to show you is what happens when you first log in to eProject Builder. And again, remember that eProject Builder and eProject Express are the same database. The first thing that you'll notice is that we have some information here that's available to folks before you're logged in. The main one is the help documentation page. We have an eProject Express side here that lists upcoming webinars. It's got the samples of the data templates, and it's got a lot of information about training documentation that you can view about past trainings, past webinars, and some information about user guides. So we will also update this with this current presentation as soon as we're able to. We've got an about page that's got some information for you on how to get support for eProject Builder. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you join eProject Express is request an account. So click on the request an account button and you'll be taken to the account request form. Make sure you fill in all of your contact information. As a reminder, we can only grant accounts on the main site to people with an organizational email. For security purposes, we can't grant accounts to Gmail, Yahoo, other personal email accounts. You must have an institutional email address. Another thing to note here is that if you have multiple people in your organization that need access to eProject Express, you can create an internal office-wide email, such as we give the example epbteam@company.com. This way, everyone at your organization that has access to that email address can log in to the same ePX account and share information. This has been really helpful to some of our other users. You have the choice here to sign up for the main site. Again, this is our main production site that contains all of the project data. We also offer a training site, which allows you to play around in the ePX platform without entering actual data into the system. As a note for the training site, you will need two email addresses because you will be playing both the project initiator role and the project builder role, and we'll describe these a little bit later. Here is where you're going to choose that account type. The two that are important for us on today's talk are the customer agency facility owner or manager role. This is what we call the project initiator role. This is going to be for folks who want to initiate projects. These are mostly the project owner, state, local government, other MUSH users. The ESCO obviously is the ESCO, and they're going to play the project builder role. The other category is what we call project viewer, and project viewers can view project data for approved projects to which they've been invited, but they cannot initiate new projects or submit data. The other thing to note on this page is that this market segment, which is currently not required, but we're going to update this to make this required because we'd like a little bit more information about what market segments you're working in. So please be sure to choose one or more of the segments in which you are involved. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm just going to log in, and I'm going to show you that when you log in, we do have a multi-factor verification. So you're going to log in and you're going to go back to your email and you're going to get this login code. Enter the code and click verify. When you first log in the first time, you'll be asked to accept the terms of service, and you'll be asked to change your temporary password into a permanent password. You'll also be asked to make a selection between eProject Builder and eProject Express, but you can easily go back and forth between the two platforms using this menu up here in the corner, eProject Builder or eProject Express. For purposes of this training, we're going to focus on the ePX menu. And you can see that the options available to you are initiate a new project, manage existing projects, download a template, or generate reports. The first thing we're going to go through is how to initiate a project. So this is pretty simple, and you just have to enter a couple of quick information about your project. You choose the market segment. If you choose state and local government, it will ask you for the submarket. You will be also asked if you are an ESPC campaign participant. If you are a campaign participant, please select yes. Now you're going to choose your ESCO or project builder. For purposes of this training, I'm going to be acting as both the project initiator and the project builder. And so I'm going to enter my own email address here. A thing to note is that you will need to make sure that whoever you add as your project builder is already registered in eProject Express. Now I'm going to click OK. My project has been created, and I'll be taken to the portfolio page where you can see that new project that I just entered. On the portfolio page, you can see a list of all your projects. You can see the market segment. You can see the role that you're playing on that project and the status of the project, whether it's pending, pre-approved, or approved. You can also change the view using this columns button on the right to add additional columns. And you can also move the columns around to your own view. We have a couple of other items here on the left, the data export, which I will show you later. And right now we're going to show you the download data template. This is pretty simple. There's a button here to download the template. There will be a change coming shortly for ESPC Campaign partners. We are developing a color-coded template that will highlight the fields that the ESPC Campaign wants to collect. So shortly in the future, there will be two buttons here, and you can make sure that you download that color-coded template to make your data entry even easier. Now, for purposes of this training, I have a template already shown here. This is the ESPC color-coded template, which again is not yet available, but will be available shortly. And I'm going to pass it over to Dale to have him give us a quick walkthrough of the various sections on the template.
And Dale's delighted to do that, Dana, but I would like to digress just a moment.
Sure.
in our technical challenges there, we sort of stepped over the why use ePX anyway. And I think it's important to recognize that for typical construction or modernization projects, you folks all know what that's about. You come up with a scope and you have some people decided they do the job. And maybe for a year, you need to know who they are. You may have a warranty claim and you need to reach out to them. But you know what? If you're thinking about an ESPC project, you may have a 10, 15, or 20-year term of time that you're engaged with this project, and you need to know who the players are, what information was determined to be the goals for the project, and actually seeing the results year after year. So there's a whole host of deep thought that went into, okay, everybody wants that information, but how do we get it to them in a streamlined fashion? And that's where ePX was developed. It really became a note sheet, a way for you to record substantive information about your project in a quick, easy way. So when you think about ESPC and all the goals that it's supposed to provide for you, seeing in this slide that they're a nexus, then the other slides go through a set of attributes and benefits for each of the participants. But I think if we just use that as a catch-up point, Dana, maybe we could step back to the template.
Okay, great.
Fair enough.
Got that, Dale.
So I think from that template standpoint, really what I'd want to recognize if I were you is I want to know that, for one thing, it sets aside an area for the principal contacts. Now, again, if you're thinking about a project for a year, you probably know who these people are. And you know what? You may be in your role for a year. But just think virtually. Would you raise your hand now if I asked you if you planned on being in your same role for the next 20 years? Perhaps not. So having a way to record who is engaged in this project really becomes critically important, and their contact information. So those principal contacts show up in this top segment. Just below that on the left is how to reference the project. Over the course of 20 years or so, we've heard people call projects by a building name or a campus name, or maybe a street location, or, then there's always the PO number or the contract number. All the different variations on how to reference this project are laid out for you there, and the opportunity to fill that in. Then there are the critical and important finance terms. How is this project going to be managed from a financing standpoint? For how long? At what interest rate? I mean, there's just a really bunch of key information there that if you don't think you're going to need it today, tomorrow, I can assure you that somebody in some treasurer's office or finance director is going to come back and say, hey, how did this work? Did we pay too much? Did we pay too little? What interest rate did we use? What process did we use? All that data is contained in this finance detail area. Moving on down, serving utilities, pretty black and white. These are the places where consumption is being obtained from for energy and water services. And then there's some other areas. So these are sort of checkpoints. Diversity requirements, diversity here meaning qualifications for subcontractors being met, and some other quality questions that we've heard over time need to be recorded. If we slip away from that a little bit lower, we start up a little bit lower, thank you. We begin to talk about the GHG savings. So while in large part these projects are managed and tracked by the energy savings that they accrue, they have a direct impact on GHG. So built right into this template, from the original study provided by the Energy Services Company, here's the goals of CO2, SOx, NOx, and other benefits for it. Finally, a little bit lower on the template, still on the left, we see a customized set of fields. So this allows you to put in things like, maybe it's tracking an incentive or a grant program, and you want to know, hey, is this project using that incentive program or not using it? You get to define the individual field, and then you're provided an opportunity to create a value for it, should you so elect. Going to the very middle of the template, we created a set of checkboxes for measures. This is just a simple way to say, what are we trying to impact with the project? They could be facility managers, or facility measures, excuse me. But if you go lower, there could be some non-facility measures. Wow, over the course of time, we've seen all kinds of things. Athletic fields, street lighting, many, many varieties that aren't really contained within a facility. And so that area was created as well. And always that more important word, other, should you need to put in something else. So if we go to the top right and look at other sections, we began to look at what the project characteristics are. And by that, what we're talking about is the pre-project consumption. What does this space look like now? How much energy and water is it using? How many people are in it? How square feet? Those sorts of characteristics. Finally, we moved on to find questions like, how long is this supposed to take to implement? And what are the investment grade audit details? How long is that supposed to be? And what would that cost if we elect to move forward? Finally, we move into a section, project capitalization. This is all about the money. How big is the project in dollars? What is it projected to save? And understand, this is our forecast of what it might save, not actual results. Moving down a little bit further, then we have some finally projected results in savings by fuel, savings by dollars, savings by operation and maintenance that really become a total encapsulation for you, a one source sheet to reference all the details that might be presented to you in a 2 or 3 inch binder of paper. It's just a remarkable way to summarize all the details about a project in a snapshot. That's the ePX thinking.
Thank you so much, Dale. I want to point out also for the purposes of the ESPC campaign partners that the fields that are highlighted in blue are the fields that the ESPC campaign specifically wants to collect. So those are the fields that you want to focus on, but feel free to fill out any of the template that you want to track for your purposes. Okay, let's go back to our demo. All right, so now that you've filled out your template, the next thing you're going to want to do is upload the template. So we can go to our ePX project here. We can select Upload Data Template. For purposes of this training, I have a template that's already filled out. Simply select your file and upload. It'll let you know that the template has been uploaded, and it takes you to some new options. You can choose to edit the project data right on the screen here, and you can see all of the data that you just entered on the template. The other option, if you want to make changes, is to upload an entirely new template, and that will override the changes that you've made. Please make sure if you're doing this that you upload a copy of the template into the project document section, which I will show you shortly. The next thing you're going to want to do is approve the project. Once you have the data entered in the way that you want it, you can approve the project here, hit submit. If you are the project initiator and you have an ESCO assigned as your project builder, this will send an email that they need to go ahead, that the project initiator needs to approve the project. Since I'm playing both roles, I can go ahead and submit it for approval, and it will automatically approve. The other things to note on the portfolio page here, or on the dashboard page, are the project document section, and this is important. This is where you can store all of your project documents. You can store any file types, PDFs, Excels, PowerPoints, image files, any related documents to your project. And the project initiator and the project builder can both add documents to this section. This will maintain the integrity of your project over the entire lifetime of your project and save you from having to look for files. You can also manage the participants on your project. This is where you would add a project viewer, as we discussed before. Again, this person needs to be already registered with eProject Express in order to be added to your project. The project viewer can view project data for approved projects to which they've been invited, but they cannot upload new data. The other things to note, let's see, let me go back to my project. The other things to note are the ePX project summary. This shows you a snapshot of your project and all the data that was entered via the template. You can download this, and it downloads as a PDF.
And hi, this is Liz from Berkeley Lab. I'll point out that one way that ESCOs sometimes use this is to drop it into a proposal. So if a project is actually in development and they enter it in a project builder, maybe it's at 60% IGA or something like that, they can fill it in and then just grab this, download it, and pop it over to the owner or pop it into a proposal package or whatever. So that can be a pretty useful snapshot.
Great, thanks, Liz. The ePX summary archive will show it'll show you copies of all of the project summaries. Every time you approve a project, it'll create a project summary, and the summary archive will include a list of all of those. So you have all of those available. The other thing to note is that you can unlock a project if you decide after it's been approved that you need to make changes to it. You simply select unlock project. And again, this will send the appropriate emails to the appropriate approvers, but in this case, I'm playing both roles, so it automatically unlocks. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is once you have your project approved, and I've just unapproved it, so let's go ahead and approve it again. The next thing you're going to want to do is add M&V data. And the options here are to download the M&V template, or you can add a performance here and you can add the M&V data directly into the system. We recommend downloading the template, and it's just as simple as downloading the other template. You just click download and the template is available. For purposes of this training, I'm going to show you the color-coded template. And I'm going to hand it off again to Dale to walk us through the M&V template.
Thanks, Dana. You know, the data entry template is an Excel spreadsheet that you can readily go pick and pass back and forth. It has nothing special in it, except it's a pre-populated set of fields for you to enter data into. On the other hand, the M&V template is specific to a project. It's actually pulling information from when you originally initiated the project and putting it in particular fields so that they're pre-populated, they are tagged to that project. You can't really get the wrong M&V data into the wrong project, which is a nice little touch in and of itself. Now, when you think about measurement and verification, likely a number of the contact people will change. For many of the ESCOs, they have specialists involved with measurement and verification, and those people will be the ones that you will interface through the, maybe let's pick, through the 2nd through 20th year of the project. Those might be the people that share with you the results and any concerns or observations they have in the way the facility is being operated or in the way that the measures are being used to fulfill their projected savings opportunities. So that contact information really becomes important. You'll also see one of the new recommendations, a third-party M&V review. If you have one, it's great to note who that individual or team is as well. So moving down the sections on the left, project identification, the gray signifies that would have been pre-populated for you. Blue, as Dana has said a couple of times, is part of the campaign. That is a designated section that for being a part of the ESPC campaign, we need you to fill out. But key dates, wow. When you see that, it can't be any more important than when was I supposed to get a report? Did I get it in that timely fashion? Was it reviewed? Was it approved? That's the kind of information that goes in there. So I could remember that maybe for last year. Will I remember it 6 years from now that each year I've consistently got the M&V reports as needed? Perhaps not. It's awfully important to recognize that those key dates are recorded each year for each measurement and verification report. Below that, we began to talk about the annual verified cost savings. Now, these are not projected cost savings. These are not assumed cost savings. One of the real keys of ESPC is these are verified savings, scientifically measured and identified as proven savings that you've achieved. Wow, really important stuff. So you see that there, you see the greenhouse gas emission reductions, which is a little bit of math involved in getting to those numbers, but it allows you to have an ongoing annual report that you can present to anybody, not only about the consumed utilities that have been avoided, but also about the GHG savings that you've made over time. As you step down further, you see an area where the custom user fields would be tracked. And then up the template and to the right, is a whole host of verified project resource savings. So through every utility, electric, gas, water, maybe propane, maybe heating oil, whatever they may be, it allows you the opportunity to see the verified savings for those individual resources. And by the way, I'll just mention, if your utility bill comes to you in therms, the system allows for you a drop-down menu. Once you select therms, all your units will always be in therms for that utility. Sort of handy. Moving on down to the right, after we accrue those savings, then we began to look at things like verified job impacts. And then, if you will, just slide on down to the notes for a second, recognizing that verified job impacts is in note number 6. And while that might be relatively small for you to read, what's provided there for you is the insight in that standard protocol would be to create one job year per $125,000 of total project investment. That's the principal construction amount without the financing cost. So that would allow you to get to that question that most governors are going to reach out and ask from time to time. How many jobs were created from this one? So going back up, then in the template, not quite that far. We wrap it up with remaining financial obligations, because in many cases, in fact, in almost every case, there is some sort of third-party financial provider or vehicle that comes into play. So what we're saying in the whole theory, as most of you probably already know, don't be insulted by my digression here, but if the project is supposed to be paid for by its savings, then you don't need the capital money up front. In fact, you might go borrow it as a lease. And because there's that third party in place, there is this long-standing obligation that's repaid annually by the savings achieved. So this would be where you would record those remaining financial obligations. Once again, a very simplified summary template that allows you to complete the information and then upload it so that it's all there and ready for you to summarize and report on anytime you need to.
Great, thanks so much, Dale. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to upload your M&B template. You're going to click the upload button here, upload the template. You're going to select your file. Oh, this is not the right template. Remember how we said that the M&B template is specific to your project. So you want to make sure that you're going into the correct project. And let me make sure which one I've got, 4988. So this 4988 is the project ID. I'm going to click Add M&B Data. I'm going to click Upload Template. And I'm going to go to my file, which has that number 4988. And now I can select to view the data that I've just uploaded. If you want to make changes, you can go ahead and make changes right here. Or again, you can upload a second template that will override those changes. Now, the other important things on this M&V section are the M&V report, which is here under the action button. You can select M&V report. It'll come up as a PDF. Let's see if I can get this to show in the view. And again, this is just a snapshot of the template that you've just uploaded. The other option here is the cumulative report, and you can download this as both a PDF and an Excel document. This will show you the cumulative results for your project year over year. The next thing that I want to show you is the analysis and reporting feature. The analysis and reporting feature is still being built out, but we have added a feature where you can filter just for ePX fields. You can create custom reports by clicking on all of these different fields and including them in your report. Or you can go to the report library and you can choose from a set of standardized reports. I'm just going to run this quick report and show you how it comes up. You can export these results into an Excel file. The other thing that I want to show you is this data export feature. The data export will allow you to export all of your data into an Excel file, and this will allow you to do additional analysis on your own outside of the analysis and reporting feature. Now what I want to do is I want to go back to our PowerPoint, which I skipped at the beginning, and we're going to go through a couple of background slides for you about the use of eProject Express. We want to remind you that eProject Express is designed specifically for state and local governments and educational institutions. It's a free resource maintained by Berkeley Lab with funding from the US Department of Energy. It's a secure, user-friendly, web-based project information tracking and reporting system that enables you to track and report your project investments, your guaranteed and estimated savings, your job impacts, GHG impacts, and it standardizes the way that ESCOs provide project and M&V summary data. What are the benefits of ePX for owners? It saves time. Again, all of those documents are there whenever you need them. You don't need to ask your ESCO for documents. You can access them at any time in that project document section. It makes it easy for public sector project and program owners to illustrate your project success through the various reports that we have available. It simplifies your project data management throughout the life of the project, even if you have staff turnover. And again, it puts the emphasis on ESCOs to enter that project information for you and upload those documents. What are the benefits of ePX to ESCOs? Again, it's streamlined, it's quick and easy for ESCOs to enter this data. It's much more simplified than eProject Builder. This is a one-page Excel data entry form that collects the essential data that ESCOs and project owners want to track. Again, it allows ESCOs access to that document section as well, and it gives owners easy access to those documents whenever they need them without having to ask the ESCO. We've had some great feedback from ESCOs that they do really like working with ePX because of the streamlined nature. The ePX benefits for ESPC campaign partners. I think I'm going to hand this one over to Daniel.
Yeah, thank you, Dana. And for Dale for doing that great overview of what ePX can do to support project teams and the data that the platform can really capture in perpetuity. Now, I know many of you are here today because of the ESPC campaign. So I do want to talk about some of the benefits that ePX has capturing your data. So through this initiative for the campaign, the DOE works with partners like the audience here today to amplify the success of your projects and demonstrate the impact of your ESPC investments. And our overarching goal is demonstrating a collective $1 billion in measured and verified savings by 2030 through these projects. For many of the streamlined time-saving reasons that Dana just shared with us, ePX is the preferred data management tool of the ESPC campaign. With the first point here, we have seamless reporting functionality through ePX, which makes it really easy to showcase your project highlights to leadership. Additionally, ePX seamlessly integrates into the campaign reporting requirements. Berkeley Lab can pull data from ePX to aggregate partner savings for the ESPC campaign, meaning that the adoption of ePX eliminates the need for further reporting to support the campaign. For both ESPC champions and their ESCOs, it's much simpler. And finally, the campaign participants also have access to training sessions and direct technical assistance to learn how to best use ePX for their projects. This includes trainings such as this one and other webinars. And for state energy offices that are partnered with the campaign as leaders, we do offer more direct support. And so we encourage you to contact us with the help email on the screen there, or to send us an email at the campaign, and we can get you in touch with Dana and Liz for more direct assistance options here. And so I'll pass it back to Dana. I think we have a few questions in the chat here.
Yeah, do you want to do questions in the chat before I finish with this slide? Let's see.
Tell you what, Dana, I'll grab the question that I see,
Okay,
which
great.
is an interesting question. I mean, suppose that, can the ESCO be the project initiator? And I'll tell you, in my life history, I've had the opportunity to be both the leadership team of an ESCO, and then I spent really about 15 years supporting state and local programs and projects on the ownership side. And when you recognize that these projects are in fact a contractual methodology to complete this sort of work, you really want the two players involved. It's best if the owner initiates the project and retains the right to approve data, so that as an owner would direct their ESCO, hey, go fill out this information for us both, so that we have it in a reasonably simple place to collect and of course use as part of our campaign. It becomes really helpful to pass the information back and forth, filled out, submitted for approval, and then reviewed by the owner. That's their piece in this project, to make sure that both parties are in agreement before it's actually logged as part of the approved data in the system. So seems like it would always make more sense for the owner to initiate a project and then rely on the ESCO fundamentally for population of documents and data and files and so forth. Hope that helps in that question.
Great, thanks, Dale. Let's just go through this one last slide and then we'll take some questions. The first thing to note is that the ESPC campaign is offering a training on February 25th on best practices for measuring ESPC impact and ensuring success. As we mentioned earlier, we also have access to ePX support and training on our help page. And you can also always email us at eppsupport@lbl.gov, or there's a voicemail that you can leave a message and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. As far as the other ESPC resources, I'm going to hand this off to Daniel as well.
Yeah, thanks, Dana. I'll just highlight that we do have a lot of additional resources to help you get started with performance contracting and to explore the value of data for your projects. If you haven't yet joined the ESPC campaign, we believe it's a great way to learn about the performance contracting process holistically and to feel supported throughout your project phases. You'll have the opportunity to learn from peers, recognize your achievements, and receive training from experts on specific project topics. And we do have recordings of some of our trainings on our ESPC campaign YouTube playlist, which you can see on the second link there on the right. And beyond the campaign, we offer a multitude of resources as well. We have the GESPCU podcast series, which is great to help you get situated with performance contracting. Our ESPC toolkit has specific resources to help you get started with financing options and other project specifics. And you can explore the value of measured and verified project data in your business case for M&V Guide, and review case studies for successful projects in the Ally for you in your corner publication on the bottom there.
Great, thank you so much, Daniel.